Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really powerful idea from the book Recreating Past for Better Outcomes. It's this thought that's both simple and kind of life-changing. What if you could take your past, all the good, the bad, the cringy, and turn it from something that holds you back into your greatest tool for growth? Let's get into it. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. When you look back at your life, does your past feel like a prison, something that keeps you trapped? Or does it feel more like a classroom, a place packed with lessons? Seriously, how you answer that one question can change pretty much everything about where you're headed. And this, right here, is the heart of it all. The things that happened yesterday, they're set in stone. We can't go back and change them. But what we can change, and this is the magic trick, is how we see those events. That's where all the power is, in reshaping our own perspective, to turn our history into a launchpad for the future. Okay, so first things first, let's really dig into the problem. Why is it that so many of us have this struggle with our past in the first place? It's a feeling we all know, right? That nagging what if, or the classic if only I had. We get stuck replaying old mistakes, thinking about the roads we didn't take. And it honestly feels like you're carrying this heavy backpack around, and it just slows you down in everything you do today. Well, the book points out that this feeling isn't just random bad luck. It's usually because we fall into some very specific, very common mental traps. So let's break down the 4 biggest ones that keep us stuck in that loop. And these traps, man, they are so easy to fall into. First, we just dwell on regrets, hitting rewind on our mistakes over and over again without actually learning anything. Then there's blaming everyone and everything else. It might feel good for a second, but it completely stops you from making any real progress. We also get stuck in this linear thinking, where we believe that because we failed once, we're just doomed to fail forever. Or, and this is a big one, we just avoid thinking about the past altogether because it's painful. And in doing that, we miss out on every single lesson it has to offer. So, the big question is, how do we get out of these traps? Well, the key is this huge mindset shift. It's about moving from being a passive victim of your past to becoming an active, curious student. The very first shift is a game changer, and it comes from just changing the question we ask. We go from that totally energy-draining question, why did this happen to me? And we switch it to the opportunity-creating one. Okay, what can I learn from this? It seems small, but that little switch takes you from feeling helpless to feeling powerful. All right, next up, moving from blame to ownership. Look, the default reaction for a lot of us is, hey, it wasn't my fault. But that's a total dead end. The much more powerful question is, what part of this was actually in my control? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about unlocking some real self-awareness by focusing only on the things you can actually change. And the final mindset shift is all about how we look at failure. We mess up, and our brain immediately goes, I failed, it's over. But what if we saw it differently? What if we saw it as just an experiment? The thought becomes, okay, that was an experiment, and here are the results. All of a sudden, failure isn't some final judgment on you. It's just data. It's information that makes you wiser. Okay, so we've got the mindsets down. That's the what. But what about the how? How do we actually put this into practice? Well, it all boils down to a really simple 3-step action plan that you can literally start using today. So the plan is basically this. Number 1, you make reflection a real, consistent habit. Number 2, you actively work on changing the stories you tell yourself about your past. And number 3, you make sure all those amazing lessons don't just sit in a journal somewhere, you actually use them to make better decisions going forward. And here's the best part. This does not have to be some huge, overwhelming thing. Step 1, that structured reflection, it can start with just 30 minutes a week. That's it. Half an hour to just sit down, look at what happened, and pull out at least one thing you learned. Totally doable. Step 2 is all about the reframe, and that just means you're consciously changing the story. So instead of thinking about a mistake as just this awful thing, you finish the sentence. Because X happened, I learned Y. That simple little formula can turn a source of pain into a genuine source of strength. And finally, step 3 is where the rubber meets the road. It's about putting those lessons to work. Before you jump into anything new, a project at work, a new relationship, whatever, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one simple question. This is how you close the loop and make sure your past is actually helping your future. So, as we wrap this up, just remember what this whole process is really about. It's a fundamental change in how you see your own life story. Look, the goal here is not to forget what happened or to pretend it didn't. The scars, the mistakes, all the challenges, they are a part of who you are. The real goal is to transform all of that raw material into a solid foundation for resilience, for wisdom, and for a much better tomorrow. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Don't wait. Think about it right now. What is one single lesson from your recent past that you can consciously decide to use tomorrow? Because that, right there, that's where the change really begins.